Doug Thugging 39, 7:33 p.m. on Sunday, May 7th, 2017. I just got home. I'm sure if you're on my YouTube, which is the only place you can listen to this, you will have noticed that I've been over at Palf's house recording alarm stuff. We'll get into that. I just got home. I showered. I haven't showered in 2 days. Put on some PJs. And I'm listening to, on my phone, the podcast True Crime Garage. And the captain and Nick are talking about Kaylee Anthony, the death of her, whatever, part 4. So that's what I'm listening to podcast-wise. Anyways, this is another podcast, my own. And let's get into it, shall we? So, yes, I got my new Canon EOS M10 camera. Been taking some still shots of the boys recording and putting those on my Facebook. And those are, for a guy who doesn't know how to take pictures or use video, not that well. Like, I can't do, in-depth editing. The camera's pretty fucking rad. So, hats off to Chris Asher for selling me his camera for a fucking very awesome brother-in-law type price. Thanks, dude. And it's great, and I'll be using that from now on. Not only that, but I've given Scotty a video camera and Palf a video camera, so when they do Pro Tool recordings at their house for the Alarm album, they're going to record themselves doing the takes, and then they can fucking edit their own shit, post their own shit, because it's fucking time-consuming. And I'm a busy cunt. Well, obviously, you know that there's been too many deaths these last couple weeks. The first one being Alan Holdsworth, who, man, as far as guitar players go, he's a fucking badass. I think I've seen him twice, and I love him. The dude's fucking rad, and I'm glad that people pitched in and helped pay for his funeral via crowdfunding for his daughters and family. Yeah, his daughters post on the, I forget what it is, but it's on Facebook, the Unreal official Alan Holdsworth page or something. I think they were asking for $10,000 and they got $100,000, so that's awesome. That dude's rad. I remember one year at the NAMM show, it was at the Hilton Bar, and everybody kind of congregates there after NAMM is done for the day. And he was talking to Frank Gambale, and I was like, fuck, I'm going to talk to these two dudes. And walk up to him and start chatting with both. And I let Frank Gambale know. Did I tell this story? I feel like I've told this story. I've told it that many fucking times. Who knows? I told Frank that I was moving to Melbourne, but I was calling it Melbourne. And he's like, no, it's Melbourne. And I'm like, oh, okay. At the time, I'm like, yeah, you're fucking whatever, dude. But, he's right. He's a badass, too. And then I'm waiting for the line of the beer to kind of go down a little bit so I can get in the line. And they were standing by the line. I think Alan probably had a beer, and I'm not sure about Frank. But my friend Dave Nano was a huge Holdsworth fan. He wasn't a musician, but he was a huge Holdsworth fan, and he loved, Metal Fatigue, that album. So I'm like, Alan, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Dave. So I got them talking, and then I went to the line to get a beer. And I got my beer, and then I walked somewhere near some steps, and I looked back, and Dave was still hanging out with Frank and Alan. And I yelled, but only Dave could hear me, but it was funny. I cupped my hands to my face, and I went, suck his cock! Suck his cock! And I could see Dave kind of bow his head down and just shake his head back and forth. Alan didn't hear, which is good, but I thought it was hilarious because, I was in party mode, and that's what you do. Also, a friend of mine passed away from cancer. I think, I don't know when the date was, but his funeral was last Monday. That was rough. I wasn't able to go. Get the time off work to go to the funeral because one of my coworkers at work, his father died, and he had to go back to Jakarta, Indonesia, and deal with that. So my wife went to the funeral. The guy's name is. Do you see the photos right there? It's going to be a slideshow of Mick Mills till the fucking cows come home. That guy was so fucking rad. So yeah, my wife went to the funeral. I got home before she did, and she was doing homework or something. And when she opened the door, as soon as she saw me, she broke down into tears. And we went into the bedroom, and then she started telling me about the funeral service and how good it was. Well, you know what I mean. And then I started crying. It's just been fucking pretty fucking emotional around here, you know. And Mick was only 27. He was a guitar player. He was a black belt in karate. And he was always searching for information on guitar playing. Always wanting to expand his knowledge. Always. And his close friend Will Gaffney, who's a friend of mine as well. First, Mick was planning to make a full recovery. And he's like, as soon as I do, I'm going to book in a month with John. And Will goes, a month? Do you think you're going to learn, you know, is it really that much to know about guitar? And that you can learn in a month? And Mick's like, yes. And he would have booked me for a full month and come over every day. Because he went to that Tom Hess dude in the States. Yeah. A little backstory on Mick. He, what happened? His close cousin, who he called his brother to friends and stuff, died on the same day as Mick's father. So that would have been fucking brutal for anybody to go through. But Mick, had to go through that. And that was maybe 2 years ago, something like that. And that was rough. And anyways, he ended up selling his dad's house, and he got a bit of cash for that. So he was able to do these things. And he bought, as any young guitar player would do, he bought a fuckload of guitar gear. We're talking Ibanez Gems, Gibson Explorers, Gibson Les Pauls, multiple guitars. And I was talking to Will the other day, and he's in charge of selling all of Mick's. I mean, Mick's mom is going to keep the important gear, but Mick also just bought a lot of stuff, and Will's in charge of selling that. So if you are on Facebook and you see guitars and gear being sold by Will Gaffney, that's Mick's old gear, and buy it. I'd buy it if I had fucking money, but I'm broke, as you know. But just buy it because the person who owned it, Mick, was a fucking top guy. Always positive. Every time I saw him, I looked forward to talking to him because A, it was going to be positive. B, it was going to be guitar. We never stopped talking about guitar. And actually, I think he's got a YouTube channel. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to place a link, probably in the comment section or even in the show more info section, his link to stringing a guitar. And you'll be able to, see what kind of a person Mick was, and his sense of humor and his knowledge of, something as mundane as, changing guitar strings. But the dude was fucking awesome. He'll be sorely missed. He didn't tell anybody he was sick. And, and then out of the blue, you find out that you're going to this guy's funeral that you didn't know had any issues. And it was cancer. And I think it was lymphoma, but it took hold pretty goddamn quick. So yeah, we lost a fucking bright, shining star. That dude was the fucking best. So, yeah, I'll always be bummed about that. But, I knew him. I've got photos to prove it. Yeah, he was a really fucking special guy. So there you go. So that happened on Monday. And then, Wednesday. Oh, no. And then last weekend, I think no. So the weekend before Mick's funeral, I went to see a band play, a couple of bands play. Harlot, these are thrash bands. Harlot and Desecrator and Hidden Intent, who actually got me on the guest list. So thank you guys. You guys are the fucking best. And I met Palf there, and he was drunk as fuck. That was a great show because I think both bands, Harlot and Desecrator, were doing CD release launch party things. And fucking so many people and such good thrash. I think out of all the metal genres that there are, thrash is really my favorite. I mean, look, Van Halen and Dokken and all that kind of cock rock shit got me into it. But as soon as I heard Anthrax, I was like, yeah, I think this is where I belong. Anthrax, Forbidden, Violence, Exodus. I love all that shit. So yeah, it was just cool to see, a lot of people who love thrash, come into these gigs. And I think Harlot signed, I forget who they're signed with, Metal Blade? Something like that. It was a fucking good turnout, and I loved seeing all the people that I saw. The problem was that I was stone cold sober. That was kind of rough, but after about an hour, because I felt, I'm pretty socially anxious, I guess, especially, sober. That's why I drink, so I can fucking feel like I fit in. But I drove there, and I wanted to be sober driving back. I didn't even want to have one beer, so I was drinking waters and watching Palf be an absolute jackass. He stage dove 4 different times. It was good. He was very funny. So yeah, that was a great show. Took some photos, and I was actually thinking. I got to thinking about it because I'm getting older. I saw some dudes with denim vests with metal patches, and I might go down that road. And my wife was like, "Dude, you're gonna look like a fucking idiot. You're a middle-aged man, and you're gonna be wearing one of those. You're gonna look like a fuckhead." And I'm like, yeah, but, I'm kind of old enough to not really give a shit. And then I thought, well, maybe I can just wear it when the band is playing, when we're playing gigs. Make it part of my little on-stage costume kind of thing. Don't know. Still kind of mulling that one over in my head. But, you have to have the big back patch on the back. I think mine would be King Diamond Abigail for sure. And then I'd have others, but yeah. So yeah, that's just a thought. Anyways. And then we saw The Darkness perform on Wednesday, and I think they were supported by a girl band called The Racket, which they were pretty fucking cool. They had a really trippy little vibe, but it went well with The Darkness. And The Darkness came out, and they were fucking rock stars. And that Justin Humphries, that Justin Hawkins dude, he can nail all that shit from the albums. So that was amazing. He had his little fucking blue jumpsuit on. His teeth were all nice and straight because he used to have braces. He was a funny guy. He was kind of a mix. He kind of looked like Matthew McConaughey a little bit. I was kind of far back, but mixed with Russell Brand sense of humor. Like the dude, as far as a front man goes, he's the fucking king, that guy. Him and Mike Patton. Do I hope they make an album? Absolutely not. I'm not a huge fan of The Darkness, but I'm more of a fan now. I mean, I like my wife's got their music. I ain't got their music. I do like what I hear, though, but I'm kind of a little bit over the AC/DC style, pub rock shit. But that's just me. I want my fucking metal power chorded the fuck up with high gain and all that shit. So that was Wednesday. Friday, after work, I went out with a couple of coworkers. One had to bow out because she was ill. So it was just me and Beck and Nell, and we ended up going to a Mexican joint, and I was drinking that night, and I got fairly hammered. I felt a little bit out of my depth because it was just me and 2 girls. I felt a little bit, once again, socially anxious, and I had between 5 and 7 beers. And then we went to another place, another venue, across the street. All walking distance from my house, mind you. But anyways, we got commenced to getting, drunk at a pub. And then the girls had to leave. I walked home, told my wife about the night. She was studying. She says, fuck it, I'm going to the next one. And I think we're going to have probably another one of those in 2 weeks. And it was good. It was good catching up with my old buddies, and man, did Nell hang shit on me. She ripped on me so hard for being old, and I secretly loved it because no one really sticks the knife in, but she went fucking brutal. So yeah, kudos to her. And then Saturday, the very next day, is when I packed all my shit and went to Pal's house, like you would have seen on the videos that I just posted. It's the 2 before this one, or the 3 before. I don't know. So yeah, the white guitar I'm using is a Mayones Regius 7-string. I'm using that for rhythms just because, floating Floyds, palm muting, not always the best. It'll whack the fucking guitar out of tune. And didn't want any springs. I don't want to have to like tape down springs and shit like that. But we ended up taking like that silver tape and using that for just behind the nut, like dampening the strings just behind the nut. And then Scott grabbed some and put them on his springs, and that's really all you needed to do. And then it was fine. Like both guitars were fine. I played both. So what we're doing is that when someone's got a solo or something like that, Scott will play his guitar, and depending on the rhythm, if he knows it better, like we're doing the thing where if you know the rhythm better, you're playing both parts. So if Scott knows the rhythm better, he's playing his part on his guitar, but he's playing my part on my guitar. Does that make sense? That's kind of the way we're doing shit. And I'm kind of ping-ponging between using my universe or using Will's Mayones. And I mean, I used the Mayones, fucking Scott used them. Like, it's just part of the mix now. So on this album, electric guitar wise, it's probably going to be the Mayones and 2 Ibanez Universe. And when the solos come up, I'm absolutely using my fucking universe, because those Blackhawks that I got in there are fucking tough as fuck. So there you go. And obviously, when we do these things at Palv's house, because there's going to be more of them, obviously. I'm just going to film them all and put them up on my fucking YouTube, and hopefully you guys dig them. And a lot of people want to know what we're running through, and it's those guitars into that fucking Kemper. And we're using the Laze Lemert chug sound, and I think we're using a some sort of Marshall cabinet sim, and that's what we're using. And it sounds, I mean, you hear the videos, it sounds fucking tough. I mean, those playbacks and what we're playing to, that's just drums, 2 guitars, no bass, and nothing's mixed. And it just sounds, when you're standing there and you pan the guitars at maybe 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, it just fucking sounds brutal. And so, anyways, yeah, we worked on a couple of songs this weekend. Palf is going to Dropbox those to Neil Kernan in Chicago. And then he tells us whether we're playing tight enough or not. And I hope he says that we're playing tight enough, because I'm actually fucking very scared. And there you have it. That's pretty much, my life for the last week. I think we're going to see... Ooh. Let me just walk over here to the fucking... We got like a thing on the board. Devin Townsend's coming out May 24th. Fuck. Oh, also, I just noticed, next weekend, the 13th, I'm doing some Heaven the Axe stuff. I don't know exactly what. I don't know if I'm doing a song or... I think I'm just playing the solo, but I'll be at Richie from Dreadnought's house doing that. So I'll be filming then, too. So, look, even... No matter what I do, whether it's taking a shit or watching television, there will be video of it, and it'll be posted. So there you have it. And then amongst all this busy stuff, I still try to do my guitar lesson videos on YouTube. So what we got coming up now is video-wise, King Diamond, Welcome Home guitar lesson. That's on May 12th. Like, it's already uploaded to YouTube, but I've got it scheduled for May 12th to just drop. May 12th, I believe, is a Friday. Don't fucking quote me on, I don't know. I set it for a Friday out here so that it drops as a Thursday in the States. And I don't know whether I put May 12th as... It's got to be Aussie time, Aussie day. Even though May 12th would be a Friday in this, I don't fucking know. Basically, it uploads, or it goes live here on a Friday at like 4 in the morning, and in the States on a Thursday at about 12 noon, that kind of thing. I've timed it like that. So that one is King Diamond, Welcome Home on May 12th. Anthrax, Caught in a Mosh, May 19, the week after, obviously. And then I done this one, Rat, You're in Love guitar solo lesson, May 25th. Oh, and I got in parentheses here, Thursday in the U.S., Friday the 26th in Australia. So just look. Just keep going to my channel, you know? You know what I'm saying? And that's really it. I think I've talked a lot. But yes, it's been very emotional over here. A lot of deaths, a lot of sadness. So if you've got somebody that you have unfinished business with, deal with it and tell them you love them. If you don't, get them out of your fucking life. Mick, you are awesome. You'll be missed forever and a day, but you'll always be in our memories and in our hearts. Take care of yourselves, everybody, and we will talk to you soon. All right? Bye.